You're going to share your questions. You're going to figure out who goes first in your group.
My question, my point of confusion would be, how would you solve 4x squared plus 81 equals 36x by using two methods, and would the solution come out the same?
My point of confusion was, using the knowledge you have about questions, how can you classify the max or minimum, the range, and domain?
My point of confusion was, after dividing the 3 by the entire equation to leave x squared alone, what process must be achieved in order to solve this equation by completing the square?
My point of confusion was, after doing the discriminant, how do you describe the number and the types of roots and the solutions by using a quadratic formula?
My point of confusion was, by using your prior knowledge on completing the square, how would you transform the equation into vertex form, and what is the process for finding the points?
Okay, so now that we have read all of our point of confusions, who needs the most help from the group?
Well, I do.
Jenny? Oh. Okay, so Jenny, can you please identify your point of confusion from this question and give your 30-second speech?
Okay, well, my question is, by using your prior knowledge on completing the square, how would you transform the equation into vertex form, and what is the process for finding the points? I'm going to work out what I know.
Just put 4 right after.
Oh, so I divided by no?
Just put 4 right in front of the subscript. Because then log 4, 4. Because then log 4, 4, which is equal 1.
You're asking questions.
I know you're supposed to use completing the square to transform it into vertex form, because you need it to be in vertex form to graph. And I know that the first step to graphing, after you transform the equation, is finding and plotting the vertex. But here's where I get lost in completing the square.
And do you know how your final answer, the form is going to look like?
The vertex form?
Yeah.
So then how would we do that? How would we simplify number 4 to whatever? Before, like, how would you simplify number 4?
This would be the equation that you use to for the vertex form to find the answer to get the vertex, so you could plot on the graph.
So in order to go to your vertex form equation, what is necessary in order to go? What steps do you need to do?
You need to complete the square, and I know that you have to use one of these numbers to fill in this, but I'm not sure how.
Do you have to use some kind of formula?
I think I remember it would be b over negative b over 2, and then we have to find b, and this would be b.
Are you sure it's negative b?
Do you have it in your notes somewhere?
What do you think?
If you don't have it there, you can
What's
use the
simplified
focus one.
numbers?
I'll use it.
Set the function to y.
Oh, it's actually b over 2 squared. It's not a negative.
And then I switch the y and
So then I would fill in for b.
and then twice I leave the y and I subtract the 5.
Okay, now that you have your 1, where would you use it in your equation?
I would fill in the blanks.
And then I multiply times 4 to make this equal to 1.
do after you filled in the blanks?
I'm not sure.
Is there anything you can combine?
Oh yeah,
Guys, please check for a rhythm.
I can combine my
Question on it.
And then I
She's adding and subtracting, right?
and then you switch the you write the y as your reverse.
Are you sure you're doing your addition and subtraction correctly?
yeah, because I know that when you have a negative and a positive, like here -3 plus 1, the 2 would become negative because it's as if you're subtracting, and then the negative comes from the 3 because the greater number gives the symbol to the answer.
And so now that you have your equation, do you know if you can factor anything or?
Well, I'm not sure, but it's almost looking like this.
Why aren't you sure that you can factor out from the equation?
What am I sure?
Why aren't you sure that you
Why
can?
aren't I?
Yeah.
Because
Because this is the form of it.
Wait.
That's how you know it's the
this is practically this. I just need to move the 2 over, right?
What is your b squared over 2? What is that? Tell me.
That would be to finish completing the square.
And what number did you fill in?
What number did I fill in?
Correct.
Yeah, I put that.
Okay.
not really just
And can you, and when you take your 2 squared over 2, are you following your order of operations?
Yes, because you would divide the 2 over the 2 and then you square what you get.
Do you know what your order of operations are?
PEMDAS, parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction.
So are you following your order of operations?
Let's see, how about you look in the book again to double check how the formula looks?
Right.
Are you sure? You're not forgetting something?
I don't know.
How would it be possible for
The first thing
for,
in the order of
for it to be
operations.
divided and be exponent at the same time?
You would actually do that this way, and then you square it, and then you would get 1.
Good job.
How can you factor the right side?
This side?
Yeah.
By using the diamond method? Which is when you take the factors of this, which is a 1 times 1, and you take the factors of the last number, which is also 1 times 1, and then you multiply them. And if they add up to this number, that means they're correct, like when you do the diamond method.
Can you explain that one more time for me, please?
You take the factors of the first number, where the x squared is, and you put them on the ends of the x, and then you take the factors of the last number and you do the same. Then you would multiply, you would get 1. You multiply the bottom numbers, you get 1. After you multiply, you add, and you should end up with the middle number if they're correct.
And now that you've come to this, what step do you need to do in order to make it look like your vertex form on the bottom?
Well, the y is alone here, so I would have to make this alone too.
Wait, how did you get the A?
The a? Oh, the a would be a 1 because as you notice here on the x squared, it doesn't have anything, but it's also a 1. So sometimes it's just imaginary.
Oh, okay.
And now that you got your equation in vertex form, what steps do you need to do in order to find your vertex?
The vertex here in this equation is h and k, so then the h here is 1, the k here is 2, so it would be 1 and 2.
Okay, so but if it's 2,
Are you sure that's your vertex?
Wait, well, here's a negative. I'm not sure if the signs have to do with anything, but our teacher showed us something like if it's positive, but when it's going to positive, I feel like it's like be the same.
Knowing that, when you're looking at your 1 in your equation, is it still going to be a 1 in your vertex?
I have actually figured out it would be negative because of this.
to show that the y is going.
Now that you have your vertex, what do you need to do with it?
Well,
Is there like any other points that you have to find?
I know that first I have to plot it because it's the vertex and that's how you start the graph. I would just get stuck on how to find the rest of the points.
So from here, how would you find like other points on the graph?
I know you only need 2 more and that you use a table, but I don't know how to fill in the table. The vertex would be your first point on the table though.
Do you know how to find the other x's?
Not really. Like, I don't know which numbers to choose to fill in, if I could just choose any or like.
And do you know in what equation you're going to fill them in?
This one because I wouldn't have to start all the way over again.
What numbers are closer to -1?
The closest, like around it.
Yeah.
0 and then -2. Yeah.
What would you do with those numbers, since you know they're closest to -1?
You would graph it because it's closer and it makes it easier for you.
How would you graph it knowing that you don't have no y for it?
I have good question. I just have like very aha moment. So I already found this one, and I know that our teacher mentioned that if whatever you get on this one, if it's correct, it should reflect on this side. So I'm just going to check my work now. So now I just have to graph. And that would be my vertex.
What is that thing called?
This? It's the parabola, and a parabola is a set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from a given point. So I already found my vertex and the points to graph. Now I just need to write my conjugate.
So one more questions can you guys ask her to check for understanding?
How do you know that your plot points are correct? What can you do to check your answer?
By plugging it back into the equation and seeing that they reflect, which a parabola should do, reflect each point.
So what equation would you plug them back into?
The one that I got after I factored the vertex form equation. Any more questions?
Are you guys done?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna write our steps.
I plus
Okay, so can you please read your steps out loud?
Step 1, we used completing the square right here. That's how we got to this equation. And then, well, we filled in the blanks. Then we factored the right side of the equation to end up with y minus 2 equals x plus 1 squared. And then you distributed the 2 to the other side so it would look like the equation to graph. And then you found the vertex, which was h and k, the -1 and the 2. We found points near the vertex, which were 0 and -2. And then we plugged them into the equation that we created. And we plugged them in there and found the points and graph.
Okay.
You guys satisfied that she understands what her point of confusion was?
Yeah.
All right, great. I need you guys to have a conversation about what you covered today and talk about the point of confusion and how you worked through it. Talk about what you learned.
So who wants to go first?
What I learned of the point of confusion was on the completing the square equation, the b over 2 and squared. I didn't know that you had to do that before completing the square, and now I do.
Heidi?
Well, I know you had to do that, but what I didn't understand was like what you do to one side, you do to the other. I didn't know that, but now I know.
-3?
Yeah.
The blank?
After she got her vertex, I was confused about the table and what points she had to use, but then I figured out that she had to use the nearest numbers that are closest to the vertex.
I was confused when where she got the A for the equation on the bottom to, yeah, that much.
Because there's an invisible one, right? Okay, so does anybody else need help that they want to go next? Matthew? Okay.